Hey, welcome back to my channel. So happy that we are officially in August. It is August 1st. And so we have, been with you all this summer talking about all the different stages. So June, we talked about summer camps, things to do with your kids while they're home for the summer. July, we talked about that midsummer slump where some parents are like, "Ooh, I'm ready for school to start back because these kids are starting to drive me." And so July, we focused all on self-care, what parents can do for themselves to rejuvenate and refresh themselves to get ready for August. And so August is here. And so back to school we go. So for some parents, it's an exciting time. They're excited. For other parents, it's overwhelming. So for me, I love the slowdown of summer because we're not on a set schedule. I don't have to get kids up and out in the morning and we don't have to be in a rush. And so I like the slowdown. I appreciate the slowdown of summer, but we're heading back into the school year. So some things that I do that I think would be helpful is I begin to have my boys get up. We kind of get back into the routine of what school looks like in terms of time. So they, get back on a bedtime routine. We start talking about what their lunches will look like. Now, my youngest child is a very picky eater, and so he gets easily bored with eating the same thing, so taking sandwiches. So then I start talking to him about, okay, what's some different things that you want to take for lunch this school year? And so we start looking at those things. What is it going to look like to prepare and all of that? So I would highly suggest that if you have a picky eater and they're not eating at school and you have to make lunches, that you start talking to them about, things that they may want to eat for lunch. And so what does that look like for us? So sometimes, we do sandwiches. Sometimes he'll just do cheese sandwiches. Sometimes we do, chicken and cheese, ham and cheese, but he also likes kebab. So he'll eat pepperoni. We'll get pepperoni and cheese, and he'll, put that on pretzels. And so we do things like that. We have these thermos, and so he loves spaghetti. So sometimes he'll want to take spaghetti. So I try to work with him in coming up with different ideas on things that we can take for lunch so he doesn't get bored. And we go into this whole thing about, I don't want to take that for lunch. I don't want to eat that, yada, 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 right? Because that stresses me out. So I start on getting them back into a routine. We start talking about school lunches. And, my oldest son, I have him ironing his clothes. And so just, starting to get that back into, into the cycle, getting him back into the habit of having to iron his clothes. So he has to iron on Saturday. So that means we have to go back to really, doing our wash days. So everybody has a wash day. It just makes things operate that much smoother. So reminding them of their wash days. I have a big board up in our kitchen. So it kind of lists, what wash days are yours. So, there may be a change to that, or they may be sticking to those wash days. So we start talking about all of these things in anticipation of what's to come. Maybe something they want to do differently to their room. So we start talking about that as well. When I say differently to their rooms, I'm not talking about painting and all that. We don't have time for that. I'm talking about, maybe having a calendar up or a chore chart or something like that. Different things that they may want to help them as they prepare to go into the school year. So I highly encourage you parents to do the same. And so that you don't feel the overwhelm of trying to prepare back to school and having to deal with kids who are screaming because they're not ready. So, setting a routine, getting back into the habit of a routine. Start talking about that school lunch, different things and different ideas. We will, in our newsletter, we will have some different ideas for you guys for school lunch. And we'll talk about some different things that you may be able to use in terms of thermoses and like the lunch kit boxes and things like that. I will share with you what we use, and so you can also use that as well. And lastly, just asking your kids what they want in their room. What will help them to stay organized? What will really help you stay organized? But you ask them so they can help you, right? So maybe it's a chore chart, maybe it's a calendar. Start putting down what things that that they'll have, or having them put down. So if it's sports, or if it's after school activities, or if it's different kind of lessons that they're already in that will continue throughout the year, marking that on your calendar. And so, like I said, my oldest son is ironing. So getting him back into the habit of, okay, we ironing on Saturdays. And so getting him back into that routine of, doing that and making sure that we set wash days, right? That they go back to the wash days that they had, or we reinvent or come up with new ones. And so those are just some tips for, going back to school. I would say the earlier you start, it's August 1. So if you can get everything started, going in these, first couple of days, you will be on your way. You will not be overwhelmed as a parent or stressed out, if you kind of plan ahead for some of these things. And so these are some of the things. Check out our newsletter for more tips and suggestions and different things like that. And I will see you next month. For September, we are really, really back to school. All right, take care.